Welcome to I Put It To You, the podcast where we put the questions on the table, unpack the facts and tell you what you really want to know. Joining me today on I Put It To You is my two colleagues in the hot seats today. We have Maxwell Motohu and Jacques Stools.
Dankie.
Stools or Max, as I know you guys. Welcome today. So Jacques and Max is currently in the thick of it, navigating, doing articles, getting to deadlines and sorting out and figuring out what is the difference between university and actually practicing law. All right, let's just jump right into it. We have our coffee, let's get comfortable and get straight onto it. So, yeah, candidates, eh?
Yeah, it's a huge step.
Almost finished, eh?
Almost finished?
Yeah, luckily.
So, I put it to you guys. There's some really questions I really want to know from you guys. What was the biggest shock when you started your articles?
What was not a big shock is probably a better question. I believe, and Max will attest to it, working for Grant is perhaps a big shock. And just the working environment overall, the people you work with, getting to know them because they form a big part of your everyday job. And for me, one of the biggest shocks was being thrown into the deep end.
Yeah, that's being a clerk.
It's okay, you made it to the real world, figure it out. You know, especially appearing in the court for the first time. I did not think as a candidate attorney, I was 3 weeks into it, thrown into the court. Say, sort it out, good luck. Yeah. You must studied for 5 years, 2 degrees, get it done.
I remember this so well because my first appearance wasn't planned. So my principal at the time, it was in Meyerton of all places, and he was ready to go to court, and he's like, okay Cecilia, vandaag. Hierso. And I'm like, what? Is it my first appearance today? And he said, do you need to sit down? Do you want a glass of water? And I'm like, no, I'm fine.
So Grant did the exact same thing with me.
Yeah.
I used to shadow Grant when he went to court, and as usual I got on my right of appearance, I believe, let's say it was a Tuesday. On that Wednesday, I just went to court with Grant to shadow him, and he handed me his robe and said, all right, good luck. I don't know what matter we there, I don't know who is our client, where's the file. So, yeah.
And you, Max, what was your biggest shock?
I think for me, it's the mindset shift, you know, from being a varsity student, fresh out of varsity, and then you get into the workspace. It's like such a huge shock, but I share my sentiments with Stoltz as well. Working for Grant is, it's something else.
So to our listeners, you don't know who Grant is. Grant is one of our directors. So yeah, I get it. Working for Grant, you need to be tough.
Yeah, you do. But I think for me, the best thing is that I've had Stoltz genuinely guide me through the whole experience. Unlike him, but he had Nick as well.
Yeah.
So luckily for me, I already stepped into a culture of people who are already trying to guide each other through the journey. So with me, it was not just, here's the rope, here's your first appearance, good luck. But he genuinely walked me through the steps that this is what you're going to do. So my first appearance was a bit more chilled, you know. I'm still waiting to be thrown in the deep end.
So,
but yeah, it was great.
I get that. So let's take a step back. If we think and we go back to, we at university now, when did you guys finish university? And did you know, like being a graduate, what was the next step? Did you actually know what the next step was, or did you have to ask around?
I think for me, that was the most challenging thing as well, is that having to navigate that it's not just only about studying law, but beyond studying it, you have to practice it, you know. So when I finished, I think probably when I started finding out about these things called articles, I was in like the last month of my third year. So it was a huge adjustment to have to ask around about that and still have to navigate final year and know what happens. But I think the best thing I would advise students with is that as soon as you take the decision to study law, be well informed of what comes after studying law.
And that's why we are here. We are here to guide everybody into the right direction, to equip them and tell them, listen, we've been through this. That's why we are here. We want to tell you what's next. We don't want that surprise factor.
Definitely.
When did you stop studying? When were you finished?
I finished my LLB in 2023, graduated in 2024. So the plan was to do masters, but however that didn't work out. So from June 2024, I did law school till December 2024.
Okay.
So my journey was a bit different, unlike to usual.
And you, Jacques?
So I finished my LB degree in 2024, started articles 2025. But for me, what helped me a lot is I was in a hostel in Potch. So I had lots of friends that were also studying LLB in different years. I was older than a couple of them and I was younger than a couple of them. So what helped me was I had a couple of friends in the hostel that studied law, but that was a year ahead of me. So when they got to the point of interviews and getting the articles sorted and all of this and that, I had this guidance of being able to see what they're going through and taking a couple of notes. And when I got there, just phoned them and said, hey, listen, it's my turn now, can you give me some tips and this?
So it's a lot more beneficial if you are studying at a university, if you are like in Potch and you are in a hostel. For me, I was studying through UNISA, so I didn't have that guidance. So if I didn't know, I was like, okay, I heard something about I need to do my articles, but I don't know where to start. And so the guidance from your peers is very important. And tell me, Max, it's very interesting. You started with the Beer Claassen now recently, but you come from the presidency. How was that different? It sounds so fancy. You come from the presidency. How was doing your law school? Because I know you did law school while at the presidency.
No, before.
Even before. So how was that, and being a clerk now?
I think that's the one thing about my journey, is that I had time gaps in between to just focus on one step at a time. So I did law school, like I said, from June till December. Then I applied for an internship in the presidency to be a legal intern. And that was amazing. That was genuinely amazing. You get exposed to different things, but administrative law is very different to law in practice when you deal with things like divorce, estates, conveyancing. But that was genuinely so nice because you assist the president to comply with his constitutional duties. But being a clerk now, you realize that you do a lot more than just reading over papers and just making sure this complies with that. You draft. You have to go consult, you have to go to court and litigate. So it's very different, but like I say, the one thing that I'm glad mostly about is that there's always someone to guide us. Because the one thing that I think kills a lot of law students is lack of information. You don't do enough research when you just study law. And it's important. The one rule that I've learned is know the rules, you know how to play the game.
So it was quite different because law school, I kind of want to push you in a direction to, it's more than just studying. So you finish studying and then you get to law school, from law school you get a better feel of things. But you didn't have the actual practice side where I know, Jacques, you did your law school when you started doing your articles. How does that differ from what Max said now? What was your experience?
So I'd highly recommend doing law school during your articles as well, as I did. I started with my articles beginning January 2025, and then I immediately started with my 6 months part-time law school. So it was online. So I worked from 8 till 4:30, 5 o'clock till I think about 9 or so at night. My law school was online. So that helped me a lot in the sense of while I'm busy with the actual law school, I could relate to the work I'm doing. So either I studied something this week and then next week I do it practically in court, or I need to draft certain papers, then I'm like, oh wow, I did this in law school. Or other way around. I did something practical in my articles, and then afterwards I'm studying about it in law school, and I'm like, I already did this, I know this.
It's the puzzle comes together.
Yeah.
If you look back, guys, if you look back at studying law and being in practice now, I know I asked you what shocked you, but what really surprised you being in practice right now?
One thing I can say is, once again, working for Grant, our principal, I had the privilege of sitting in a couple of first consultations. But when it got to be my turn to handle those consultations, it's surprising to me that someone phones you, says, I want to speak to Jacques Stolz, I want a consultation. They book the consult, you get into this office, into this boardroom, with no idea what it's about. Especially in our field with the litigation, it can be from labor law, it can be from children's court, maintenance. It's such a wide variety. So it surprised me that I actually have to know a little bit of everything. But it came to my attention quite fast that it's okay not to know everything, because we have this foundation in the office. Someone will know the answer in this office. Then I'll just advise client that, listen, this is my opinion. However, I am a bit uncertain about this. I'll quickly run and find out, and then I'll get back to you. Someone in this office will help you. They're always willing to assist. So it was quite surprising to think that, okay, now it's the real deal. I need to advise clients. This is a big situation.
Yeah, I mean, we've been around for 70 years, so somebody in this office will know something. And you, Max, what surprised you?
I think for me, it's what the practical side, like you're saying, you know, theory, when you read the law, it's very different to when you apply the law. You have to practice it. A typical example is when we have to go do a section 65 in court, you know. When I read about it, and Jacques was like, go read section 65, go read it. When you read it, it's very different to how you go and apply it in court. It's so different. So you have to know exactly what you're applying the theory in practice, what you're applying it to, and exactly how you need to, the procedure or the process as to getting it done. That for me is a huge difference.
100%, I get that. The one thing I think when I think of like being at university and being a clerk, if you guys would think of a skill that you go from being a student to being a candidate attorney, what skill would you say they have to teach at university to equip candidate attorneys in practice?
Sure.
What are they not currently doing that they have to do?
The rules, the rules. I think we've had an agreement, you know, first thing when we walk here, and you're going to keep on hearing us emphasize Grant.
Yeah.
Grant just slammed a book of rules and he's like, know the rules, you know.
Yeah.
So that helps you a lot, because the rules carry you in practice on what to do, when to do it, how do you do it, after doing that, what follows, you know. But I think the one thing that you have to be so good at is being versatile.
Yeah.
I think that's a skill that they teach you just read, but they don't teach you like people skills. Be versatile.
Yes.
When you go out, you're going to be engaging clients. Sometimes client is angry and you know that this is going to take longer than what it should be, a shorter process. So you need to be versatile in how you adapt to certain challenges.
Yeah, so I would add, and this might be controversial, but I'll add some form of, I don't want to say psychology, but in the sense of, especially in the litigation department, you get to deal with very serious and intense matters. So when I see a client for the first time and I hear, and perhaps they went through something tragic, and I need to advise them and help them on it, you need to have a form of sympathy in a way, because and I quite struggle with that. I'm like, okay, this is the facts, let's get the job done. But sometimes you just need to listen and feel a bit what they're going through, and that can be difficult. So they must teach us some form of, like you say, more people skills, being able to listen and understand, and then as well, how to handle it for yourself. The mindset you need to have, the fact of being able to switch off your emotions and do your job, but then to be able to go home and switch on your emotions again. And I feel like that actually just comes with practical experience, but it's a very, very important part and a big part which they don't teach us.
I get that. When I was thinking of what I'm going to ask you guys, I was thinking about this question, and I'm like, in university, everything is it's theory. You get a question and it's just theory. You just need to like apply whatever situation they give you. But when you get to litigation, like I've had a bit of experience in family law and that stuff, you deal with people's raw emotions. Like that's one thing I agree with you. Like have some sort of psychology module or just to deal with people, because when you get in practice, it's the real emotions. So now we've been to university and we're ready. We get to a firm that says, okay, congrats, you can come do your articles with us. I want to know, because there's always people facing some sort of difficulty, and people don't know when you say, have you registered your articles yet? They're like, what is that? But I'm working. And I'm like, yeah, but you need to register. Did you guys tell us about the process? Did you have any difficulty in registering your articles?
I think I'll go for this one because I'm fresh from it. So when I got the offer from the Beer Claassen, I thought that was it. You're just going to go to the firm and you're going to start working. But I did not know that I had to register my contract with the LPC.
Yes.
So that's quite a tedious process as well, because there's things that you need to make sure you comply with in order for your contract to be registered with. So Jacques and Nick like genuinely helped me out with the whole process, where you have to fill in forms and then you send them to LPC. I had quite not genuinely a tough process with the LPC, but they sent back my contract, you know, because of just minor things. Sometimes this is not signed correctly, that is not filled in correctly as what they want. But one thing that helped me is that the first thing Nick did is he printed out the general guidelines that they need you and how to fill out the form for them and what you need to comply with. So when I filled that out, I kept on going back to Jacques. Jacques, is this correct? Nick, is this correct? I came to you as well.
Yeah, because it's an actual contract that you need to sign. You sign that contract with your principal.
Yes.
And then you need to give that into to the LPC. But people don't know. When I did mine, I'm like, what do you mean I need, like, somebody need to attest to my, like, am I fit and proper? Like, am I okay person? But yeah, you need, I think it's two. It's two of them that you need to submit. And so it's quite a process. Did you have any issues registering your article?
Yeah, they sent mine back as well.
I'm the perfect child here. Mine got registered quickly.
So if you look at my registration number, I think it's like 09 of 2025. So as far as I think it went, is like I'm the 9th candidate from the Free State to have registered my articles in 2025, which is quite fast. So I'm actually happy about that, because Grant he was hard on getting that done, because then you can start making money for the firm. So they sent mine back on a small technicality as well, because I did the law school, but I only started my law school 2025 at the same time I started my articles. So then you get a year off of your articles if you do the law school. So I indicated that I'm only entering into a 1-year contract, and I attached the proof that I'm starting with my law school. Then they sent it back, says it doesn't work that way. You must enter into a 2-year contract, and then now for admissions I need to apply for condonation for that 1 year. So also on a simple letter, or on a simple number that I wrote wrong, they sent it back. But yeah,
I remember I also did my my law school. It was a 6-month, I think it's like 400 hours or something, and I got my certificate beforehand, so I could straight from the start say 1 year.
1 year.
So there's something I want to touch on, and you are fresh off it now. Jacques has been, Jacques has done his. I want to know, you get the shock of, okay, congrats, you're hustling, being a little candidate attorney now, and then they're like, oh, by the way, you need to write board exams. So,
I need to breathe, let me not be emotional.
How did you prepare for the board exams?
Cecilia's giving me trauma.
I'm sorry.
Geez, like I genuinely can't pant on this enough. I'm genuinely grateful for Jacques and Nick as well. Like I think the one thing I'd say is that it's so important which firm you choose so that you get into the right culture, you know. But preparing for board exams was hectic. Jacques just kept on sending a lot of things and he's like, here's material. But law school is quite important. It plays a huge role in that. Because whatever you do in law school, you're going to be tested on, in the board exams. But just the law school material is not enough. You know, you need to prepare on a lot of things. I wrote 3 papers, which is paper 1, criminal, procedure, civil, and it's criminal, high court, and MAJ and ref. And then I wrote paper 2, which is wills and estate, and then paper 4, which is accounting. The big paper 3, I did not touch that.
You managed.
So
right now there's 4 papers that we need to write.
Yes.
And then from 2027, it's going to be 5 papers.
5.
So get that done. We believe in you that you'll finish this year. I know Jacques was crazy enough to write all 4 once, and he passed all of them. Like I'm also not like him. I played it cool and I did 2-2, but I passed it the first time. So
but preparation is very hectic. I think it takes a lot of time, sacrifice, and also knowing you come from work. It's 8 till 4:30, and then you have to take a bit of a breather, study. I did not have weekends at all. My weekends were scraped. Saturday, I'm at the office, I'm working. And the best thing I could tell candidates is that take per segment a topic and just make sure you fully master that. Like for example, in procedures, they're going to ask you criminal, they're going to ask you high court, MAJ, and then they're going to ask you ref. What I did is that I gave myself at least a week for each topic, if not less, because I had like 2 months roughly to prepare for them. So you just make sure you cover each topic very well so that at least you know what you're going to be facing.
The one thing I also want to add is, I'm going to name drop you a bit, but I told you guys this as well. Like you need to prepare and you need to get notes that's really, really good. And for that, like I can tell you, if you are a candidate attorney listening to this now, or you are in your final year, write down these names. Gawie Leroux, Institute of Law. The notes is expensive, but it is the best you will get. And then there's 2 people, I believe, bar for paper 2 and paper 4, and that's Mr. Johan van Eck and Fransja de Wet. Like if you attend their classes, it's like a week long, they host it, and it's really, it equips you so well to be able to pass.
But also, I think attorneys for me as well, attorneys in the office played a huge role, like yourself, because I'd always come in. It's so important that you balance out the stress with being okay. Sometimes it's okay to just take a breather, calm down, and just reset again. If you don't know something, don't try and overdo it. Relax, go back and ask questions. So for me, it was genuinely great to have people like yourself guide me through the process and say, no, relax, do that, do this that way. So it's stressful, but it's doable. I think people think, no, board exams, now you stress and you think it's impossible. Yes, it's stressful, but it's possible, it's doable. Jacques passed all 4. We're not like him, but anyways.
So Jacques passed all 4, so what was the most difficult paper for you?
Well, ethics. I think most people will agree with me. Due to law school and the Van Eck course that I did, it helped me a lot with estates and accounting, so I really did not struggle with that at all. And with the physical experience I get in the office and in the court procedures wasn't necessarily a problem. So the ethics, because people think, well, that's what I thought when I started as a clerk and started studying for board exams. Ethics, it's about ethics most, and that was the name. But it's totally different. Ethics has everything from legal costs, everything involved.
It's a very broad
paper.
They can ask you anything. And that's the one paper that most candidates they struggle with. I mean, when I went to write, I always chat to people. Like, I'm that person that have a chat with everyone, like, hey, good luck. And I spoke to this girl and she said, it's my first time attempting this. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. But kudos to her for keep on trying. It's the only thing that like was keeping her from going the next step. Yeah, it's crazy. So you guys said preparing for the exams, at least give yourself 1 week. We are now in March, we are approaching August, September. That's when they are writing again. One tip that you want to give them for preparation?
Well, plan ahead, like timelines are very important. We all know that the next exams are now August, September, that time. It's now March. None of us want to study too early, but you have the necessary time to be prepared for the exam. Because if you're going to start a month before, you're just going to stress yourself out. You're not going to have enough time, and who knows how your job situation is that time. Maybe you're packed, maybe someone else resigns in the office and all of that workload gets dumped on you.
So preparation, just enough
time. Just start early enough.
Study. I think Jacques has touched on everything. Study, that's it. Just study.
And Jacques is approaching like the next phase of being a candidate attorney. So Jacques, you are in the thick of drafting your admission documents, getting that done. What's the process like? That's also one thing that you are not prepared. You only find out again from people in the office or people that you know. How does that process work? How do you even start? Do you go sit with a paper and say, I want to become an attorney now? I've passed the exam. It's time. It's time. Tell us.
So when people think registering your articles by the LPC is difficult, then good luck with your admissions. Good luck. Yeah, no, they told the exact same thing to me when I registered my articles. But how I started, once again, lucky enough to be in the firm that I am with the people that are here. There's multiple people here that went through registering their admissions and getting their admissions done. So I just went to the people that were currently busy with or assisting other people. Like Karishka helped me a lot because they have templates. And if you're not in office, like being able to get assistance from other employees, we have lots of WhatsApp groups and law groups, and just ask around. I see they share admissions and draft admissions. So I went to Karishka, she gave me a template. I actually got a couple different templates that I can work from. And then I also had like a guideline, like a checklist, that you need this annexure, you need this annexure from the criminal record clearance and all of those stuff. I think I'm at like annexure 15 or so. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be included, but luckily I had a template to work from.
Yeah, so if you want to say to somebody like drafting this from scratch, it's a notice of motion and an affidavit, and you have a confirmatory affidavit from your principal. So you can't just be admitted as an attorney with your own affidavit, say, I did comply, here's this. You need the confirmatory of your principal. So in your notice of motion, you apply for the court date, so you'll get a correspondent to apply for that date. You first get the case number, like normal process.
Just to interrupt you there, sorry for interrupting. That's one thing I did not know. When when applying for your admissions, it's not a simple contract that you send to the LPC and they say, sharp, go ahead. This is a physical high court matter. It's as you would proceed with any high court matter. You proceed with your notice of motion, you need an advocate, you need to get a case number for your matter, it needs to be heard in front of a judge, so it's in court. So it's a high court application, it's not just a contract that LPC approves. And being a high court application, it can also be opposed by the LPC.
Yes, that's very true. I know when I got admitted, there was a lady. They asked her. So it's as quickly as the day comes, it's gone again. But they called her up. So how it works, you get called up now, and I had an advocate. You can have an attorney with right of appearance in the High Court to assist you. You can't bring that application yourself. You are in essence the client that day. So then you get in the box, and they called her and they said, we need you, there's on your application we note that you were sequestrated, and she need to have like a small test. She had to testify. She was like, that's right, but I was rehabilitated, and they said, okay, the court has no objection, let's proceed.
Sure.
So it's also, people need to know that there is, even before you get to court, there might be objections, but in court, they might note, and they say like, because they read through everything, and they'll be like, okay, let's ask her on this. And then the one thing, when you do your admission, that I want to stress on is, you need to make sure you have all your original documents with you as well. You can't, because remember, you need to submit these things certified. So whenever somebody certifies something, we say, I have seen the true original copy of this document, and then in court as well, they can say, okay, Maxwell, please provide us with your LLB certificate. And then you need to have that readily available at the day. So, yeah.
Yes. And with that being said, like you said, they asked this specific person about sequestration and this and that. One thing that I kind of took note of when applying, not just for my articles, but also busy with my admission papers, was they asked quite often, did you have any disciplinary hearings before? Because I know the Poch life and the student life, and sometimes things can get out of hand and you can maybe make some mistakes. Just make sure that those mistakes does not
come back to bite you.
Exactly, because a small thing like a disciplinary hearing, as simple as it sounds, it can happen very easily. Yes. And they ask, have you had any disciplinary hearings previously in varsity or wherever? And you need to disclose that. That leading to my other, sort of mistake I made.
But that's how we learn.
Was the pecuniary interest in other companies, businesses. They are very, very strict on pecuniary interest, which for those that does not know, basically means that you're not allowed to have any source of income other than your articles, which I feel is extremely unfair, in my opinion, because most clerks, candidate attorneys, does not get paid a lot when they start. And should you have to relocate and then pay rent, pay food, everything on your own, it can be difficult, but it's very important when you apply for the...
Just disclose it.
Just disclose
right from the start. I always joke and say, the only thing the LPC doesn't have of me is my blood type. That's the only thing they don't have of me. But I'll give it to them again. I'll give it to them. It's not a problem. So I really enjoy talking about this, and I think I want to ask you guys that what has been like your biggest professional learning moment? I think I almost can say like I know what you guys are going to answer, but I want you guys to answer and tell me what has been like your professional learning moment being a clerk.
Well, for me it has to be the court appearances. The physically going to court, getting your client there, preparing them for what's going to happen, how the process is going to go, and not having anyone else by your side. Yeah. You've been through your shadowing with the principal and this and that, and now they are busy with their own stuff. You have your own matters. Now you put on your big boy pants, you go to court and you handle this. And sometimes in some matters I've handled, your fight determines whether someone goes to jail or not. And it depends on the matter. So it's not necessarily just small mistakes. So then it was like, okay, this is serious, I need to do my job now.
I think Jacques has made it very legal. For me, I want to make it personal, but it's navigating challenges, especially shifting from one professional environment to another one. So for me, having came from the presidency and jumping to the Beer Claassen, you realize it's two different entities and how they function. So you need to find yourself within that system. And the most important thing is you have to fit into the work culture.
Yeah.
You know, don't disrupt what already is working well in the firm. So when I came here, the one thing that I came with is that it's an attitude of being submissive and learning. You know, walking around asking people, how does this work and stuff. Like I always say to people, my greatest advice is be a fool for 2 minutes to be a king for for forever.
Yeah,
you know?
drop.
You know, so learn. Cecilia, I don't know, do I have to literally initial every page of a contract? I didn't know that. Now you have to learn and literally navigate those challenges. It doesn't make you a fool. You're still working here, you're a professional, you know, but it's okay to learn. And I think that's been my biggest thing, is just navigating different environments.
So being like going on 2 years, ready to do your admission, you've been asked here for a couple of months now. What do you think is the biggest mistake that candidate attorneys, clerks make when they first start? What's the biggest mistake you think they make?
Sure, okay, I'm going to attest to that. It's when you come from school and most probably you know how to draft something. Like for example, let me say you know how to draft a notice of motion. You're not pedantic, like you don't pay attention to detail. So you just want to get work off your desk and hand it to your principal. And sometimes you give low-leveled work. It's not your base standard. So always do your research. Like if they give you something and like draft a letter of demand, take time on that so that the work you give to your principal does not come back to you and say, no, scratch with pens and like do that again, you know, because it dents your confidence to be able to produce the best version of yourself. But also you end up becoming so shell-shocked that you don't know how to become vocal about it. But if you take time on doing something and you make sure it's the best version of what you can produce, and it's just slight mistakes, you realize that, okay, I am actually growing in what I'm doing.
My advice would be not necessarily something that I just learned out of myself, but something that I see with assisting Max now in his articles as well, is for new candidate attorneys, don't be too hard on yourself. Because like especially at our firm, you walk out of just getting your degree thinking, man, I passed it, I got my degree, I know the law. That's the biggest mistake you can make. You're going to walk into a firm, they're going to give you something and say, get it done, and then you're like, oh wow, okay, who had that, what am I doing? So don't be too hard on yourself. They're not expecting you to know everything, but we are expecting of you to find out. So just put in the effort of making sure what you do is the correct way, the correct thing. Don't be too hard on yourself, just ask.
I get that kind of like, I've been around the block. I've worked by a previous firm as well, and like seeing the one thing that I can see, maybe I'm just a bit humble. I was really like, Sham, let me learn this, and but I see clerks come in and think like, you're gonna tell me what to do? Huh? I'm gonna be an attorney. I know everything, and that's the one mistake. And like both of you can attest to this. Is, I mean, Grant is your principal, and you can say that he always tells you if you don't know something,
ask the ladies. Ask the ladies. Ask the ladies.
Guys, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I mean, we are in a firm that has quite a lot of different departments where you can specialize in. Have you thought of it? That's the one thing people ask you in university already. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm like, I just want to finish university. But we are now in practice. I mean, like if I take myself, I've done something of everything, and I know what I like now. I know where I want to go in the next 5 years. Do you guys know what's the plan? Do you have a plan?
Well, I believe both of us in the Beer Claassen, there's opportunity to grow. There's space, like you mentioned, there's multiple different departments. Even if you're not necessarily suitable at litigation, perhaps you like conveyancing a bit more or estate, there will be a place for you here. So in my opinion, I'm very happy where I am here at the Beer Claassen. With the firm itself, with the people I work with, I honestly can't complain. So in 5 years, I definitely see myself still here at the Beer Claassen, maybe at a more senior position that I am at now. And however, with me saying that, I still see myself at the Beer Claassen in 5 years. I do also see myself having some sort of sideline, some business other than law that's supposed to be more like a hobby in order to get my head off of things. Because you can get so stuck in law. So in 5 years, hopefully I can still be here and then just also have something to generate more money as well, but to get my head off of things.
Director with a side hustle. Yeah. And you, Max?
I think I share my sentiments with Jacques as well. Our firm is very vast in its departments. One thing I do see for myself, however, is that the entertainment and sports industry is growing quite hugely. So that's an area a lot of people tend to neglect, entertainment law and sports law. So I think that's something if slowly we could introduce into the firm, I would find myself wanting to specialize in that. And like Jacques, I don't think all I want to do is law. Law is stressful.
But how many months each?
But I quite enjoy the process, but it's also good to have, that's why for me I'm very versatile, because there's music outside and there's church and stuff like that. So it's good to have an effective life balance, you know, balance out everything with what you do. So 5 years time, definitely making moolah. It's all about the moolah. We need to be making that, but it's still at this beautiful firm and hopefully we grow into different areas.
We'll be back in 5 years time. Let's see. Guys, I really enjoyed chatting to you. Before we end this episode, I want to do like a rapid fire question with you guys. I don't want you to just think about it. I want you, the first word that comes to your brain, just say it as it is, okay? I know this is more like firm driven, my first question. So the people out there, but they'll figure it out when I ask the question.
And we must keep it PG, eh?
Okay, so whatever comes to your mind, let's go. Senior attorney you fear the most when they say, come to my office?
Grant.
If you could change one thing about being a clerk, what would it be?
Money.
Late nights or early mornings?
Late nights.
Late nights? Yeah. I was wondering if one of you going to say early mornings, and I'd say you lie. I was here like just after 6 and not one of you were here. How many times have you Googled something that you should have known?
Too much.
A lot.
One thing clients do that makes you question your choice of profession?
I call a lot.
Not paying.
Call a lot.
Finish this sentence. No one tells you that being a candidate attorney actually means
being at the bottom of the barrel.
Starting over.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. I had a big joy chatting to you guys. It was really nice. If you are a candidate attorney, you are a final year student and you want to join our firm, yearly we are part of the Fatsuane Henny group. We have this yearly webinar that you join in, and then you can send your CV to us. But I will, in the link in our bio, in the comments for this video, I will also put down the email address that you can send your CV to. So don't be shy, just approach people if you want a job. Attend our PH seminar. I will also get the dates for us, and like and subscribe to our page, guys. Like, if you want more of this, I really enjoyed chatting to you guys. I'm looking forward to where we are going in the future. So like and subscribe, and then we'll see you guys next time.